So today I'll be making a quick vid on how to prevent injuries and minimize the risk of injuries. Now, I'm making this vid because, as we all know, one of the most devastating things to see in football or happen to you or happen to someone you know is that when a player with huge potential, especially when they're young, but a player with huge potential, they get a horrific injury, or they get like a reoccurring muscle injury or a leg break or an ACL, and then they come back and then they're just never the same player, or they come back and then after that they keep repeatedly getting injured, and then you just wonder, damn, like what if this guy never got injured? So that'll be today. I'll just be talking about how to minimize the risk of injury, basically. So I know what's it called? I know a lot of injuries come down to luck, so there's not really much you can really do with like an ACL tear, or like a if you break your ankle, break your arm, or that thing that happened to what was his name, Ryan Mason, where he just had like a head collision with Gary Cahill. Like there's nothing much you can really do to minimize that. But obviously, I'm just gonna be talking about how the top players with the best longevity, sort of what they do, how they prepare, and yeah, basically just how they treat their bodies, how they're professional, and how that's allowed them to just have so many years at the top. Because there is a correlation between players' professionalism and how many years they have at the top. So the first point is literally just eating right and living good and just having good habits. So obviously, I remember when I was like 11, 12, I was a chubby fat kid. So my diet, like I said, my diet was horrible. Like I was just eating chicken and chips, crisps. Like I was just eating all types of shit basically. So, and I remember even at like 11 or 12 years old, I'd be going to pick things up and my back would be aching. Like at 12 years old, I was thinking, raw, like I'm 12 years old and my back is aching. Like the joints in my knees would be aching sometimes as well. I remember there was even a couple of matches I had to come off because for some reason my knees just kept playing up. Whether it was sometimes it was the right one, sometimes it was the left one, sometimes even both. I remember there was a period of time it was even both where I just couldn't play. Like my joints were just literally all that fat was just compressing on my joints, and my joints just basically couldn't take it. So yeah, literally that's why I emphasize just living right, eating clean. I know at a young age it's hard to like eat clean, what's it called, eat clean. You know what I'm saying? You want to enjoy yourself. You want to eat the pizzas, the burgers. Like I get it, but obviously keep that to a minimum. Just be cautious and be wary, and make sure that if when you eat this shit as well, just make sure you're actually training, you're actually going for runs, going for sprints, doing all of that, because that's one thing as well with me, is that what I wasn't doing is that I'll be eating all this junk food, but then I'd only be training. I'm playing football like twice a week, and then the match on the Sunday. That's it. I wasn't really doing any extra work, burning any extra calories. So that's why I ended up just ballooning up, and that led to obviously having back pains, having joint pains in my knees, and all of that. And obviously, if you look at guys like, let's take Eden Hazard and Neymar, for example, like these are talented players, and I know that the injuries that they got weren't necessarily like my ones, like muscle injuries. Well, some of them were muscle injuries. In fact, no, both of them actually had muscle injuries. But Hazard had that ankle injury where I think he got taken out by Meunier, and then Neymar. People just take out Neymar for fun. Like this guy's been needing his back. This guy's been he had his ankle broken by people. Like them guys in the French league, they were not messing around with that guy. Like anytime he got the ball, it was on side, because to be fair, he was doing rainbow flicks, doing flipping sombreros and all of that. So obviously they get the injuries where obviously the player has hurt them, and there's nothing they could really do to prevent that. But also when you take like Eden Hazard, especially at Real Madrid, when you hear about like the hamstring injuries, the muscle injuries in the thighs, ultimately you have to put that down to like he wasn't living the best at Real Madrid. Like he literally came to his presentation overweight. And me personally, I don't know why he did that. I don't know why he literally got the move of his dreams. He was playing under Zidane. I'm pretty sure he was saying Zidane was his idol and everything. And then he comes into the Real Madrid presentation fat, overweight. He comes into preseason fat and overweight. And obviously it's been known that Hazard is not like the most disciplined player in terms of being a professional, eating well, and doing all of that. There's a correlation. Like he ended up, sort of soon as he hit like 29, 30, just the injuries just sort of caught up to him. And he's one of the most fouled players as well. Same as Neymar, he's one of the most fouled players as well. And also Neymar's known for not really being the most professional. You see this guy on the yachts in the summer. You see this guy in Rio, in Brazil doing madness. And like I said, I know there's some injuries that you can't really prevent. You can't really predict. You can't really predict or prevent. However, there is a correlation between players who don't really take care of their bodies, take it seriously, and the top players who do take it seriously, like Messi and Ronaldo, for example. Like these guys get kicked about for fun, but the longevity at the top level, literally just the longevity at the top level, it can't be argued. And you can see, and you know, these guys are taking care of their bodies. Obviously, Messi in the early days, you know what I'm saying, he used to not be the most professional, but obviously as he got older, as he got to like 24, 25, that's when he started to really lock in. And he hasn't really got any serious like muscle injuries. Same as Ronaldo. You don't really hear Ronaldo getting, you know, hamstring injuries, quad injuries, or calf injuries. You don't really hear about that. When these guys get injured, it's more, oh, they've been kicked, like Ronaldo's knee injury or Messi getting kicked about. You never really hear about little muscle injuries. And when you do hear about little muscle injuries, it's normally for like 1 or 2 weeks, at most a month. So yeah, I just feel like there's, in terms of living good and eating right, doing the good habits, there's definitely a correlation between if you eat good and you live right, you're just gonna extend your career, extend your longevity, and that's a good thing because football's a short career anyway. And then obviously the guys who don't really take care of their bodies as well, they sort of burn out. They sort of burn out quickly. They don't really make it past 30 still playing at a top level. Even if you take guys like R9 and Ronaldinho, obviously there's a trend of like Brazilian football players not really having the most longevity, not really, not really, but even past the age of like 28, not really still being at that top level. They sort of rise at like 21, then they hit their peak at like 24, 25, 26, and then after 28 it sort of goes down. And I just feel like that's down to sort of like the lack of professionalism. It's not really a Brazilian thing, because when you look at Dani Alves, ultimate professional, you know what I'm saying, longevity at the top, played until he was like 40 years old. I just feel like it's more these guys. Like I said, R9, he was known for being overweight. Ronaldinho, he was known for being in the clubs, doing all of this, which is fine. Obviously, when you got that money, you can enjoy it from time to time, but keep football as the main thing. You know what I'm saying? Don't let the clubs and the girls and all of that take over. Just keep football the main thing. Obviously, you can do them on the side. You know what I'm saying? Once a week, maybe even twice a week. You know what I'm saying? But keep football the main thing, because ultimately, football's the thing that's gonna pay you the most. Going to the club isn't gonna pay your bills. What's it called? Chilling with the girls ain't gonna pay your bills. If you're a pro footballer, the football on the pitch is gonna pay your bills. So that's why I say literally just eat right, live good, and just have good habits basically. So I feel like that's how you prevent these little nagging muscle injuries. Even if you don't feel it at first as a young player, I do generally feel like it catches up to you at a certain age, and then you look back and you're like, oh damn, I really wish I would have taken better care of my body. That's what you don't want to have. You don't want to say, oh yeah, I had the talent, I had the ability, I had the potential, but I just didn't take it seriously. Like you never want that as a young player. You never want to be that guy that looks at the TV and says, yeah, that could have been me on the TV if it wasn't for the hamstring injuries, if it wasn't for the knee injuries if it wasn't for the muscle injuries that were preventable, if you just would have taken better care of yourself. So yeah, that's all I got to say for this vid. Hope you enjoyed. I've been JT and I'm out.